Hello, hello. It's been a while since I've been live, and I felt very, very called to hop on and share everything that I've discovered in my own journey and everything that I have felt called to get on here and share with you all. I don't know if you can feel it, but the energies going on in the cosmos and the collective have been really, really intense. I know through my own journey and through working with heaps of clients who have shared at great length, what they're feeling, what they're going through, and clients who don't share, but I can also feel it. I think it's really important that I embody the medicine that I share, right? Allowing yourself to be seen, sharing your medicine, moving from a place of heart-centered inspiration as opposed to the mind and the ego. And I think right now, what we're working with is, I think, a massive awakening and shift in the collective. And I think you may hear this from all sorts of other people. And I will preface this by saying I'm not an astrologer yet. But I have been feeling some really, really intense energies lately. Welcome. Come now, my children. Allie's having a big yawn. Aussie speak for, I guess, a chat. Essentially here to talk about what's been alive for me and what I think may be alive for many of us. And for a lot of you who follow the cosmos, we had a big blood moon on the 14th of March, and that impacted us in what they say our South Node. South Node is all about, where we were, karmic, death, clearing. And so what happened for a lot of us at the start of March at the full moon, I think really was perhaps earth-shattering for a lot of us. This death and this karmic, who am I? The classic dark night of the soul. I know who I was is no longer that person, and I don't know who I'm becoming. And I'm seeing client after client going through a very similar, I'm confused, I don't even know what I want anymore, all the things I thought I wanted, who am I, right? And if you're going through any sort of similar journey, know that this is all written in the stars, guys. And when I'm having what is this? What am I feeling? How do I move through this energy? How can I teach from a place when I'm waking up feeling heavy or whatever it may be? For me, it's let's turn to the stars. What's going on? How can I understand these planetary impacts and how can I make sense of it? And as I've journeyed through from just this earlier full moon in Virgo on the 14th of March, it was big. I went through a big juice cleanse, a detox. I had one of my biggest dance events yet. We had about 100 people, a harp player. It was so incredible. And I was able to bring my highest vibe, 7-day juice cleanse self into that ceremony to share everything that I've been going through, to lead space. And I tell you, it lit me up so much. And then I went home and I thought, well, let's celebrate. Let's light up a spliff. Let's have a little dance. Let's get into all the naughty little things that we have been telling ourselves we shouldn't do. So what proceeded was, after that, a week long, just re-enter into all the toxic patterns and behaviors. And shit, we're human, and this is, the pendulum must swing. But I went from this ecstatic high place to this low place, and I know it's right. Buddha taught the middle path, right? We can never live in one extreme for too long until shit breaks or we break, and we find another way of being. And ultimately, and if you're following along, good luck. This is a bit of a soapbox. Am I on a soapbox? I'm on a rock, actually. I'm on a rock. I was so inspired to get out here and share this with you guys. I can't tell you how fast I grabbed this thing and some instruments, thinking maybe we'll make some videos later. But coming back to the journey of reconnecting back to self, and what that full moon illuminated for me, right? Full moon highlighting our South Node, a death, a clearing of what are the old toxic patterns and habits that I have been nursing pretty much my whole life, that perhaps I have been afraid to face head on. And look, a little bit of weed here and there is not the end of the world. But for me, moderation, what is that? Does anyone, can anyone tell me? So essentially what I witnessed myself do was this pendulum swing from the high vibe, you know, we're running this massive event, we're doing all these great things, to coming back into a bit of a lull and wanting to hide, and also tapping into some depths of sorrow, of heaviness, of I don't know what or why or how, and I think stories can only serve us so much, but I think there's some energies going on in the cosmos that are far beyond the cerebral mind, and it is not something we can conceptualize. It's not something we can necessarily speak about, but I'm gonna do my best to share a lot of things. Like I said, I'm not an astrologer. If you got places to go, you want to check in later, I'll put it on my oops, mosquitoes. Oh, I'm gonna get eaten alive. I'll put it on my grid thing and you can watch it back later. Again, I've just been feeling so called to dive into the energies of the cosmos to better understand what I'm seeing in myself and what I'm seeing in my clients, so that I can make some sense of this shit and be able to serve from a place of deep knowing and understanding. So right, you guys probably heard eclipse portal, like what is this hippy dippy woo woo goo, but it's legit, guys. The eclipse at the full moon March 14th was a death, a clearing, a letting go of the old ways, right? And tomorrow we're coming up into the new moon solar eclipse. Not only that, but we've got Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde. For some of you, you're like, what does that even mean? I have been like binge watching and listening to all sorts of astrologers to better understand what this means. And so maybe you're like, I don't got time to watch and read all that stuff. This might be useful for you. So as we have moved out of the death of the full moon, right, that culmination point of what is no longer serving us, what toxic behaviors, what outdated patterns, beliefs, limiting stories, all of that, what is no longer serving us, right? So we shed that at the blood moon. And coming up into the new moon tomorrow, the solar eclipse, it's what are we moving into, and how are we rebirthing, reimagining, and connecting to, right? This is also Venus retrograde stuff, like the cosmic heart, not the my heart, my love, my needs, my purpose, my business, my calling, but ours. And I think it's been a big shift that a lot of us are sensing this complete breaking down. And I know this deeply because I've witnessed it in myself multiple times in my life, where you start to question, what am I doing? What do I want? Is this my goal? Is this my dream? Is this my career? Or is this what I was taught to believe that I should do? And as I've sat with this and felt into this energy, it's like, okay, what sort of wisdom can I gain from the stars, from the cosmos? So I've also learned a bit about Neptune. And again, this is a total dump. There's not really any big structure to this, but anyways, when inspired, you get out there and you do it, right, people? When there is an interest to share and to serve, you just got to get out and you got to do it. Which brings me to Neptune. You're like, what's she going on about? Right, well, Neptune is the mystic. It is the planet of dreams, of spirituality, and for the last, since 2011, apparently, Neptune has been in Pisces, the dreamer, and we've been dreaming about all the ways we're gonna, launch our spiritual business or make an impact on humanity, move towards more alignment and harmony with our work, with our calling, with our relationships. And so for a very long time, 2011, some time, Neptune has been in the dreamy sign of Pisces. And now on the 30th, 2 days from now, it's moving into Aries, which is all about action, getting out there. And I know personally, for me, I've spent a lot of time strategizing and thinking and dreaming about how all the ways I could potentially get out there and share more with you guys. And what Aries is bringing for a lot of us is like, just do it. Just get on your scooter and grab the camera and get into the bush and make a video. And who cares who watches it? you need to do this, right? And so following that deep impulse has been a big theme that I'm seeing emerging for a lot of us as well, with Neptune moving into Aries. I find this all fascinating, right? Because when you have those moments and you're just like, what the actual fuck is going on? Do I need to sell all of my belongings and buy a van and go on this trip around the world? Whatever it may be, right? We've all been there. I've had that. Yes. Where it's like, who am I? What do I want? Where am I going? And I'll tell you, I did that. I quit my corporate job. I sold everything I owned. I booked a one-way ticket to Panama. I went to Peru to do ayahuasca. I meditated for 10 hours a day, 10 days straight in Sri Lanka, trying to find myself in India. I lived in an ashram. I did it all. And I tell you, it was a very solo quest of who am I? What is my purpose? What am I doing? And, you know, it's all well and good to contemplate you and your identity and the ego, but it's really about us. And with Venus moving into retrograde, so I've learned this is how you retain knowledge. You share it, right, people? So with Venus going into retrograde, it's moving from that my heart to cosmic heart, to all of our hearts, and looking at what is driving your actions, what is moving you to do things. And for a long time, when I first left corporate, it was, how will I make money doing something I love? And then it became very focused on running a business and money and clients and how do we get them, and that it took me from the cosmic heart of like, well, what do I actually want to do? What lights me up? If money were never a problem, what can I really tune into to guide myself in that path? And so working with the energies of the Venus retrograde, it's a beautiful time for all of us. Whether we like it or not, we are going to be forced to reevaluate the ways in which we love, the ways in which we allow ourselves to receive love, the ways in which we allow ourselves to give love, and what karmic or ancestral patterns are we actually ready to clear once and for all. Like ancestral, I've had so much stuff on the women's line in my family of being cheated on by men, left by men. You know, there's been all sorts of deep ingrained patterns and programs that I'm ready to clear. I don't want to have deep subconscious wounding towards the masculine. I want to embrace that within myself and within humanity. And so going back to, you know, this shift from my heart to our hearts, to the cosmic, to the collective heart, it's really getting clear on what lights your heart, what lights your soul on fire, and what is propelling us, what is moving us forward. Because when I look at, you know, ways I could, when you run your own business, you're like, there's like 8 million things I could do right now. I could whip up a new course. I could go and do this. I could go out into the bush with my flute and make a bunch of videos. And I was like, let's pause and focus on what do we really want to do? What do we really want to do? And for me, it's been like, I want to better understand myself. I want to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. I want to understand what the hell these planets are doing to us, because you know we're 70% water, and you know if the moon is impacting the tides, and the moon is, you know, dictating our cycles as women, as, you know, plants, as animals, what are these other planets doing, right? And I started to really get curious about, all right, well, what's up, Neptune, dreamy mystic dude or woman, I don't know. Stay tuned. Watch 5 years from now. I will be an astrologer with a YouTube channel, occasionally offering sound healings. Anyways, going back to what excites you and what lights your heart on fire. And in conjunction, right, so we've got Venus retrograde happening in the middle of a solar eclipse portal, where we've also got Mercury. I'm so excited, you guys. Breathe. We've got Mercury retrograde. And everyone hears, oh, Mercury retrograde, like don't sign contracts and like blah, blah, blah. But apparently, from what I'm learning, ants eat me. Mercury is the sacred trickster, and Mercury assures that all shit don't go to plan so that you move in alignment with your soul's calling. So it may look like you waking up with debilitating anxiety, depression, questioning your life, not wanting to get out of bed, wondering, who am I? What do I even want? Should I even live another day? That's Mercury retrograde coming in to be like, holy shit, you got to do something. Because this quiet little whisper of the soul isn't always going to cut it. And I know that in my own experience with, like, I had to be so miserable with my life in San Francisco, with my corporate existence, with everything I was doing to actually sell everything and book a one-way ticket to a foreign country with nothing but a backpack and a guitar. So this is the energy that we're working with Mercury going into retro. I think Mercury is now in retrograde. Making sure shit don't go according to plan so that we can feel called to move in whatever way we need to, whether that's not moving, whether that's taking action to, I don't know, sign up to an astrology course, or connect with that friend you haven't reached out to in a while. It's really potent energy for us to work with. And again, like I said, I don't think I've ever done a live on astrology. So welcome to my new offering. I think what I may start doing actually is like binge downloading all of this content and regurgitating it to you so I can make sense of what's happening in the stars and hopefully help you all as we navigate this really potent time. So like I said, full moon, Virgo blood moon, March 14th, big energy, death, karmic clearing. What are we letting go of? What is dying inside of us? And then tomorrow's new moon, what are we emerging into? What are we moving into? What are we birthing into the world? How are we showing up from a place of heart-centered awareness? How are we showing up from a place of taking action on our dreams and not just dreaming them? I tell you, I've spent so long dreaming and thinking about what I could do. And yeah, sure, I get on socials and I share things, but there's so much more that I share in my in-person events and things like that because it feels more authentic to me. Like to get on and talk to just a screen, like, yay, there's people here. Thank you for being here, by the way. But, you know, we're all going through I think we're all going through some form of a dark night of the soul, perhaps. And if you're not, like, hoorah, congrats. But I also think that this is a very powerful time collectively for a lot of us. And if you're feeling called to hold space, to get in front of a group of people and share something you watched on YouTube. You don't need to be an astrologer. Check it out. You don't need to have any credentials to get out there and help people with things that you've learned. So I love you too. Just giving yourself that permission to share and to come back. I love you too, Annika. Giving yourself that permission to just come back to what lights you up. Like, if you're doing something that doesn't excite you, yeah, sure, we all got, you know, bills to pay and jobs to do and all the things, right? Like, accounting, I gotta go, who's running this business? That's me, and I've got a lot of shit I need to do. But you know what I felt was more important? To take my guitar, to take my flute, and to take all of y'all into the bush to chat about the stars. Because at the end of the day, this is all a holographic projection anyways. Ooh, birdie. Pretty bird. This is all a holographic projection anyways, I believe. And, you know, our beliefs shape our reality. And if we believe that it's a scary, cold, dark world out there and we got to work really hard and we got to be in a lot of pain, you know, it's, yay, I'm glad this is landing for you. Then that is what we will experience. So like turning to the thought leaders like Dr. Joe Dispenza. You guys are a little bit on the, this is getting too woo. Like, read that guy. Breaking the habit of being yourself, right? Bridging science and mysticism, where we're looking at brain scans of how our beliefs are actually shaping our reality and crafting the world around us. So if you're finding yourself in a place of like, holy shit, what's going on? Like, what is going on right now? Just know that this is actually fated. This is fated right now for all of us to be going through this breaking down. And like I said, with Mercury retrograde, the sacred trickster, it's like, holy shit, things aren't going to plan, or I'm feeling, you know, whatever it may be, like personal share. I have a lot of people that look at what I do and they're like, wow, she's living her dreams and she's doing, you know, it's like, yeah, but there's days where I'm like, but I don't want to sing. Oh, I'm tired. I don't want to get on Instagram. I just want to go play in the forest. And it's like, well, maybe we can focus on magnetizing, which is actually a legit business strategy that I suspect just by getting out here in the forest and sharing my truth and speaking to you all, I will come to my phone and have whether a corporate event land through or a new client book in for mentorship. But I'm telling you, this is a time for all of us to really hone in and not numb out. And I'm like the queen of numbing out. You guys may think I'm all like well and holy, but I love to have fun, and I love to get out of this dimension. I really do. And I really don't drink anymore these days, hardly ever, because it just throws me into anxiety up the wall. But like, love to indulge with a little bit of marijuana. Hey, a little bit of ketamine? Oh my God. But for me, it's never a little bit. It's never a little bit. So what I've had to come face to face with this last month, this last cycle that we're in, is like, all right, are we connecting to those substances to celebrate and to connect and to expand and to create and to write a song, or are we running from something? Are we hiding from ourselves? Are we suppressing whatever emotions want to be faced and witnessed? So for me, it's really been a hard, cold, fast look at, okay, Allie, like, you can celebrate a little bit, but like, when does medicine become poison? And anything done to excess is poison. And really being mindful of all the things that we're doing, whether it's watching TV, whether it's scrolling, whatever it may be for you, looking at ways that we may be quieting those deep feelings and distracting ourselves. Like, I know heaps of people that are just very, very busy all the time. So they don't have to look at their heart and their feelings, and they just go through about their days, and that's cool. Maybe maybe I should get a full-time job. No, I'm kidding. But I get time and space scattered throughout my clients because I carve that for myself so I can have this time for myself. But it means I get time and stillness to sit and reflect and to feel into my feelings. And I tell you, Mercury retrograde has made sure to clear space in my calendar so I can do exactly that. So I can sit and so I can reflect and so I can get clear on, what am I doing all of this for? What am I building? What is the message I want to get across? Like, what is the medicine? And, you know, abundance flows for me. It's not about getting more clients. It's not about selling more tickets. Like, and look, if you want to come to tomorrow's event and you got issues with funds, DM me. Like, we'll get you in. It's not about that. It is about coming from cosmic heart and really tuning into a higher calling and a higher purpose. And for me, I can only wallow in the, as they call, navel gazing activity for so long about, well, how did I get here and what am I doing here? And then be like, okay, well, I guess there's a lot of us that feel that way. How can we do a little bit of research on the stars or your life practice and spew it out and serve it to humanity? I don't know what it will look like, but this is it in its raw unfolding. And like I said, with the elements of like Aries and fire, I think a lot of you may be being like, yeah, let's actually just do it. Like, let's just go into the bush and go on Instagram Live and ramble on about astrology and play the food a little bit. No, I actually made a little video I will share later. Musings from Ali Skiba. It's been a while, you guys. And I will say, it's all cyclic, right? The waves, they come and they go, and the inspiration, it comes and they go. And I know Liz Gilbert talked about creativity, like something outside of us, like these little creatures that just come and inhabit your body, and you better catch it quick and write that song down or that poem down, because it's going to go find a new willing being to allow it to channel, to come into life through. So if you find yourself with creative ideas, like, don't sit on them too long. Like, do something about it. Get out there. Like, I don't know, make a video of yourself saying something. Who cares, really? At the end of the day, I think we all just give maybe too many shits. So anyways, that's a big dump on astrology and some words of wisdom. But to close out kind of the personal share about, you know, going through these highs and then coming into these lows and navigating this space is like, but I'm here, you know, sort of to help people. Like, how can I serve people if I feel low or if I wake up sad? And what I've realized is, like, this is how I serve people. This is how I shine and share my medicine, by being my raw, authentic self, by showing you guys that, you know, healing is not linear. And while I've spoken at great length about my journey from quitting corporate to one-way ticket to Panama, to traveling around the world, to building my soul business, to coming to Australia and like going on The Voice and like all of that, it's a great story. But I tell you, Like, there are days, good to see you too. There are days when I don't want to get out of bed and I'm overwhelmed by the responsibilities of being CEO, creator, facilitator, accountant, PR, marketing, and all of that. And it would be so much easier to just go back to corporate. But I'm a fighter, people. I'm a fighter, and I'm fighting for what I believe in, and I'm fighting for, ultimately, peace on earth. And that starts within. And so when I have those days where I really question myself and I wake up with anxiety or sadness and I try to understand, well, what is it, Allie? What is it? Sometimes it doesn't even matter, because like I said, like the energies we're working with right now, and I think forevermore, it's not always in the cerebral cortex. We can't always talk it out. We can't always get the insight from our therapist, because maybe the medicine you need to do is go out to the bush, shake it out a little bit, make some weird noises, slap your feet on the earth, and trust that the body is doing its own process, that nature is doing its own process. And maybe the less you try to understand, analyze, strategize, and come up with a plan of action, the more your body can actually receive the insight and the wisdom, and that you wake up from a dream with an idea, as opposed to methodically strategizing. I mean, honestly, when I was in Bali 6 months before I came to Australia, I came up with the decision matrix on, like, okay, either run out of money in Bali or run out of money in Australia. It was basically that. Okay, and then it was like all these different permutations of making a decision. And yeah, sure, sometimes that's helpful. But like, what was my heart really longing for? Like home, living out of a backpack for a year and a half, kind of destabilizing, didn't bleed the whole time. So coming back to what I really wanted was some stability, some home, some safety. So, yeah, honestly, if any of this resonates and you want to hear my journey at great length, the latest journey, no, there's a lot of journeys unfolding. I think there's some new podcast interviews to be made, but head to my website, melodiousyogi.com/media. And there's like every podcast interview I've been on. And then there's also melodiousyogi.com/free resources. Get yourself in on that. I highly recommend Heart Harmony. It is a free 30-minute guided breathwork and sound healing journey. And I can tell things are happening in the cosmos, where I see all of a sudden all of these people coming to my website to download this particular track or guided experience. And I think it's a really good one to drop you into the body and into the heart, because sometimes I know personally I can be very extreme with my healing. We're going to go on a fast. We're going to go Wim Hof. We're going to go on ice baths. I tell you, I've already had 4 saunas and ice baths this week. We gotta feel into it, and we gotta tune into the wisdom of the body, because there's only so far the mind can take us. So that's why I've been friggin' going like a beast at the gym. That's why I've been connecting to my morning breath work on the beach, connecting to dance, and just trusting that the details, schmetels, will be resolved as they need to be resolved. As long as we get clear on the what, the universe will figure out the how. And I think I feel that I have been predominantly in my whole life focusing on the details of how. But how, Allie? How will we make this work? And it's like, well, what do you really want to do? Because I can get busy real quick. I can come up with all sorts of to-do list items. I love having to-do lists. When I was a kid, I would scribble on pieces of paper and throw them into the garbage, telling mommy I was busy. I was busy, very busy. And now I'm realizing how important it is to just chill and create space for the universe to come in. Like, maybe don't feel like you need to forecast your next, 6 months of events or whatever. Like, maybe give yourself an opportunity to do nothing. I know. I need a podcast. Is that right? Yeah, seriously. But ultimately, as we're closing this cycle of this eclipse portal, it's so important not to numb out. It is so important not to numb out. And again, everything I'm telling you is because I need to hear it. Because I need to also hold myself accountable for, really feeling into the feelings. And what is awakening in within all of us is not just for this cycle. It's for the rest of our lives. It's big. it's big. And I don't normally, like I said, I don't normally jump on here and, go on and on about the cosmos and the planets and what's happening with Neptune and Venus and Mercury, but it's some big times. I have not been sleeping. I have been it's been very exciting, stimulating, exhausting, terrifying, exciting. I'm a bit turned on, I'm a bit scared, I'm a bit like all over the shop. And you know what? It's beautiful. It's beautiful. And what I've learned is to not be so terrified of the feminine, of that one moment she's perfectly making sense, the next moment she's crying, the next moment she's laughing. And we all have this feminine energy within all of us. Like, it's not just male or female. It's a quality within all of us that is aching to be remembered, to be reclaimed. And I tell you, most of my life I was so terrified of the feminine energy. 1 + 1 isn't always equal to 2. Like, I don't want to know anything about it because that's scary. That's why I pursued an electrical engineering degree. That's why I swallowed and silenced my feelings for 30 years before I finally had to break apart into a million pieces to reclaim that softness, to bring in that stillness, and to awaken these gifts and these things, and connecting to my voice in a way that is not a technique or a strategy or rehearsal. It's like just letting myself be a conduit. So I could go on and on. You're right. I do need a podcast. Stay tuned. I think I will be doing that. But anyways, if this resonated with you, I'd love to hear from you. If you got anything out of this, I would love to hear. If you're seeking support on your journey, I've got spaces for my mentorship program. If you want to come to my event tomorrow and funds are an issue, just DM me. We'll get you in. Again, heaps of free resources on my website. But most importantly, know you're not alone. And this is big times for a lot of us. And it's so big, you guys. It's so big. And I'm feeling really inspired. And it's been a while. I didn't feel inspired for a while. And I was like, how am I supposed to create without that fire? And what I realized is I needed to feel completely shattered and burned alive to reawaken those embers within me and be like, oh, I'm actually really passionate about sharing this, and I want to share it. And I don't know what may come out of it, but I know that if I hold it in, it will stagnate. And as Brene Brown says, what is it? Unused creativity metastasizes. Then it causes pain in the body, and it causes all sorts of ailments. So if you are like, I know there's more for me in this life, I know there's something I'm meant to do, but you find yourself in analysis paralysis and watching what everyone else is doing, I tell you, don't do that. Don't look at the trends of Instagram. If I were looking at the trends of Instagram, I'd probably have a lot more followers, but do what lights your soul. Do what excites you, and trust and know that the money will be there. We live in an abundant universe. And yes, there's days where we question all of that and everything. And there are some people in very dark places, and I don't want to discredit that for any of you going through a place where it's like, yeah, I can't just go sit in the forest and ponder my existence. I got kids to feed. I got a job. Like, look, I get that. But maybe take 5 mindful breaths into your heart when you wake up, and just make sure that as you start your day, you're coming from your heart and you're not being led by the ego and the fear, this illusion of scarcity and fear that we all are up against this big bad world, because we're here to support each other. I believe we're here to play. We're actually here to have a lot of fucking fun. But I forget that. Oh boy, do I forget that. Anyways, I think I have like 5 ant bites on my crotch right now, so I'm gonna leave you to it, and I'm just sending you all lots of love wherever you are. If you've just joined, there was some goodness that may or may not resonate, so check it out later. And any final comments or questions? Or there's only a few of you guys here, but anyone who had stuck through it wants to ask something, I will happily answer. All right. Well, with that, I will leave you to it. And happy solar eclipse tomorrow. May you all be blessed with the courage and strength to stay in your heart. Stay in your heart. Love you.